on the track.
The Irishman, Netflix's newest Oscar contender, just 1 year after Roma came out and shocked the world with a foreign black and white film. We have Scorsese collaborating with some of the greatest mob movie icons in history: De Niro, Pesci, and Al Pacino. Even have Ray Romano in there and Harvey Keitel with a bunch of other known actors and even a stand-up comedian, Sebastian Maniscalco, making an appearance in this film. Getting into the pros, I have to say the runtime, what I thought was going to be a negative that disrupted my enjoyment level throughout this movie, really did not do the movie a disservice. I didn't feel like it was 3.5 hours. It did feel long. It felt like 2 hours, 45 minutes. But for a 3.5 hour movie to feel 45 minutes shorter, that's doing a pretty good job. Especially since this is an action-packed, jam-packed movie with explosions. This is a mob drama film surrounding a person that I've only heard of through my grandma making jokes about me losing stuff. And I'm not even making that up. I never knew who Jimmy Hoffa was until this movie. I just knew through my grandma making jokes, like if I was looking for something or if I went in somewhere where we haven't gone in a while, it's like, are you going to find Jimmy Hoffa in there? And I never understood it because my generation doesn't really know who Jimmy Hoffa is. And it's even shown in the movie. At the beginning, he states it in his little monologue. And at the end, he even says to a character, the name Jimmy Hoffa. And they're like, who's that? And he laughs and goes, what do you mean, who's that? Because to older generations, Jimmy Hoffa was this big name that was known, and to us, well, my generation and younger, no one knows who that person is. So I felt going into this movie not knowing was definitely a positive, because you learn throughout the film who Jimmy Hoffa is, what he did, what this situation is, and that's why I feel like the 3.5 hours maybe didn't jar on me as much as some people. But getting into some of the acting roles in this film, De Niro, Pesci, Pacino, Ray Romano, Harvey Keitel, all those names do a great job. This is like an all-star game of mob movies in a sense. And it takes its runtime and it just blows it out of the park with it. I expected to be bored. I expected to get tired, and I did not. I didn't even get out of my seat. I was glued to the TV. Didn't have to go to the bathroom, thankfully, to ruin anything. I watched this full through without pausing. And I have to say, it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me at all. The acting, I would say Al Pacino is, to me, the standout role. Everyone does great, like I said earlier, but Al Pacino, to me, was just so excellent as Jimmy Hoffa, as this political union president type person, and it just worked. I know a lot of people have said in their reviews that this character plays to Pacino's strengths, but I don't see that as a fault of him. Like, it's not his fault that this character is made for him. I think he does a great job. I think he's Oscar caliber. Maybe not a win, but definitely going to see him with a nomination come Oscar time. And I've heard some people say Pesci's probably going to get into. What I can see, he did a great job. To me, Pacino stands out from the pack. And I think he's the one who should walk away with the Oscar nomination if they're going to give it to anyone from this movie. Getting into some of the mixed or cons of this movie, I would say the de-aging technology is not what it needs to be. It's some parts of the movie, it is done very well, I have to say. But you could always tell that Robert De Niro is a 70-year-old man with like a facelift on, because he walks like a 70-year-old man. Early on, there's a scene where he kicks someone. This isn't a spoiler. He kicks someone who's on the floor, and it's like a 70-year-old is kicking someone. You could tell the difference. But he has a young face, and the way he walks, the way he kicks, the way he just goes about his day is very slow and old looking. Not to be insulting to older people, but you should know what I'm saying if you've seen the movie. I feel like it's pretty obvious and it's kind of jarring, to say the least, at some points. And they went with this like blue, very very blue eyes for him, and it just stood out. And maybe that's what the character needed. Maybe that's what he has in real life, and it just didn't look right for me personally. That was one of my cons with the film. A lot of people have asked, is this Scorsese's best? No. I can't honestly say it's his best. I will say I could be a little biased because Goodfellas is my favorite movie of all time. But Goodfellas is so much more rewatchable, and the characters are just more appealing, in my opinion, in that film. The Wolf of Wall Street has more energy. It's still a long film, but the energy throughout is so ramped up that you're having such a great time throughout. Not that you're not having a great time in The Irishman, but it's just a different feeling to me. And if I'm going to rewatch one of Scorsese's, this isn't going to be the top movie that I go to every time. Overall, the movie succeeds on all levels, even if there are some technical aspects that need a little tweaking, in my opinion. The plot wise, it was so infatuating, and like it just made me want to learn more about this situation and about these people. Yes, it's a long movie, 3.5 hours, but it builds so much up. You know everything about your characters that you need to know. And towards the third act, it all just wraps up so nicely, where all that information you were taking in for 2, 3 hours connects so well. Because I will say early on, I was like, there's so much going on and it's a little hard to grasp. But as the film progressed, it all wrapped into one storyline where everything you learned did matter. And I feel like they handled that greatly. If I have to rate this out of 5, I would give it a 4.5 out of 5. I think this is an excellent movie, one of the best of the years. I expect to see it during the Oscars for multiple awards. I don't know if they're going to win, but I know they will be nominated at the end of the day. Netflix probably has its best films so far. Honestly, I haven't seen Roma yet, so I'm not saying it's better than Roma. I just haven't seen that, but I do think The Irishman is the crowd pleaser Netflix needed and the Oscar contender Netflix needed. Roma was more a great film from what I heard, but not a crowd pleaser. The Irishman will please mob movie fans, De Niro fans, Scorsese fans, and just film fans in general. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and we'll see you next time.